President Trump unveiled a new nickname today, Spygate. He says Spygate could be one of the biggest political scandals in history. That's what the president tweeted. With Spygate, the president is referring to reports that the Justice Department got information from a confidential source who had contacts with some members of the 2016 Trump presidential campaign. Tomorrow, officials from the Justice Department will brief two members of Congress on the source, Republican Congressman Devin Nunes and Trey Gowdy. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders explained why no Democrats were invited to this meeting.
To my knowledge, the Democrats have not requested that information, so I would refer you back to them on why they would consider themselves randomly invited to see something they've never asked to.
Joining us now from Capitol Hill, Illinois Congressman Mike Quigley. He's a Democrat. He's a member of the Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. She was right. As of yesterday, no Democrats asked to participate in the meeting. But today there was a statement released from Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic leaders in the Senate and the House, asking for a formal briefing of what's called the Gang of Eight, four top Republicans in the House and four top Democrats in the House and Senate to be briefed instead of having this separate meeting with only Republicans tomorrow at the White House. What's your reaction?
Yeah, this is a part of a pattern. Ever since the investigation began, my Republican colleagues in the House Intel Committee have had rogue unilateral investigations. They have never consulted with us. They have met with others, never talked to us at all. This is a real threat to the process. First of all, the Justice Department should not release information that they believe hurts their ability to protect our country, our national security, revealing sources and methods under any pressure from the White House or from Congress. But if they're going to do this, there is a mechanism that we described here, revealing this to the Gang of Eight, not just to one party or just a couple members.
Have you heard anything about that latest request from Schumer and Pelosi? Have they received any reply yet from the administration?
To my understanding, no. And it's this part we're hearing is that Justice is occasionally briefing on a few minor matters, Republicans here, there, and everywhere. It makes absolutely no sense. You know, to a larger extent, I thought that the Russian attack on our democratic process was the most important thing that had happened in our lifetime, the greatest threat to our democracy. I now believe the greatest threat to our rule of law, our democracy, how our intel community works to protect us, is not from that attack, but from the president's reaction to that attack.
Well, so just to be precise on this, Congressman, you think the president and how he's behaving right now represents a bigger threat to American democracy than what the Russians were doing and apparently are still doing here in the United States, interfering in the election process?
The Russians came at us. Director Comey said they'll be back. We just appropriated some money to protect our election infrastructure. We now know, because Facebook some of these ads and other social media platforms releasing these ads, we now know what we're confronted with. What's happening here is far more insidious. It's an attack on how the intelligence community collects its information. If they can't assure our sources and our methods will be secured, we will be less safe as a country. If the independence of the Justice Department is threatened for all time, if this establishes a pattern of behavior where the Justice Department doesn't have that independence, the rule of law is greatly threatened. At this point in time, I see that as a greater threat.
The president today said he just wants transparency, his word, transparency in this matter, and he also insisted that's what the Democrats want as well. Do you believe this is all about transparency?
I think it's about helping the president politically and legally. I think Mr. Giannoulias put it best when he said that this is exculpatory information. It should be passed on to the Trump legal team. I mean, he has to be kidding. The Justice Department can't be forced to reveal information in an ongoing investigation to the Trump legal team. If he thinks this is what, exculpatory information, that happens after one has been indicted. I'm not sure he's anticipating that or not, but it's way out of bounds here and, frankly, very dangerous.
if the president decides to provide this information to what's called the Gang of Eight, Democrats and Republicans, would that ease your concerns?
Look, I think it's a better way to do it, but it doesn't get past the point that it shouldn't be allowed to happen. The Justice Department feeling this kind of pressure from the House, feeling this kind of pressure from the White House, this will have a profound impact on how they operate for generations to come.
Congressman Quigley, thanks so much for joining us.